Inside City Limits is a presentation of Comcast.
You build it, they will come. Hi, and welcome to Inside City Limits, where we bring you the best of art and entertainment here in San Francisco. I'm Kimber Frankel.
And I'm Katy Rice Jones. And you know, we're not talking about a ballpark, we're actually talking about a beautiful city park. Golden Gate Park was built in 1870, and believe it or not, it was built on a number of sand dunes.
We're here at Hajiwara, the oldest Japanese tea garden here in the United States. It's a great place to relax, have a good time, and even have a picnic.
Absolutely, and you can actually grab a cup of tea if you'd like. If you want to check out other places in the park, the Rose Garden is a great place to go. So is the Children's Carousel, and there's some historic windmills over by the ocean. And that's what we're going to talk about on tonight's show, the Golden Gate Park.
But first, we want to hear what you enjoy about the park.
What's your favorite thing in Golden Gate Park?
The Rose Garden. The tea garden.
Well, I'm just coming from the Botanical Gardens, which was lovely.
Well, this is one of my most favorite places in the park. It's the Children's Carousel.
And of course, the kids love the 1912 carousel that has 62 different animals.
And did you realize this is actually one of the oldest children's playgrounds in the world? And you can actually have your child's birthday party here, too.
And now let's catch up with Mark, who's right next door at Sharon Art Studios.
You're getting creative. You're getting very, very creative. And what better place to hone your skills than right here in Golden Gate Park at the Sharon Art Studio. I'm here with Caroline Rabinowitz, the director of the Sharon Art Studios, and thank you so much, first off, for being on our program.
Thanks for having me.
And speaking of programs, tell me about this wide array of things that you can do right here in Golden Gate Park.
Well, the Sharon Art Studio offers classes in ceramics, stained glass, jewelry, drawing and painting, to youth and adults and seniors at very, very affordable prices. Our largest program is our adult program. We have classes during the day and the evenings for adults. And they run in usually they're about 10-week classes. We have 4 quarters a year. And then we're really proud of our youth programs. We have after-school programs for youth ages 6 and older. We have free teen classes for high school students ages 15 and 17. And then in the summer, we do a summer camp for teens ages 11 to 15 called Art in the Park, which is one of our best programs where the kids come for half a day and they get to do ceramics and glass and jewelry, all our mediums, in one day, every day of the week. Well, the great thing about the program is that it's for all skill levels. Most of our people here consider themselves recreational artists, so we have people who are brand new, never done anything, and then we have people who just fall in love with the medium and they come back for 10, 15, 20 years. Well, the ceramic studio, you can either work on a potter's wheel or hand build. We have a couple low fire electric kilns and some high fire kilns, so you can do a lot of beautiful work in pottery. And then in the glass studio, a lot of people do stained glass, which is where you work flat, and then also they do what we call glass fusing, where you fire the glass in a kiln. And then we have a jewelry metal art studio where you can work with any type of metal, very fully equipped. And then our drawing and watercolor classes. And our benefit of being in the park is generally those classes get to go outside and draw the landscape, work outdoors. We have an incredible group of very dedicated instructors. There's 12 part-time permanent instructors. They have been here anywhere from 15 to 30 years teaching at this program. The one thing that's really unique about the program is that we really are a tight community. I mean, these are people that you see once a week in your class that you really build a unique relationship with. So it's a really warm, welcoming place that you could see once people come, they really, really enjoy, and it's sort of a special haven for them, which, you know, it's a really non-competitive, supportive environment, which once people find, they just absolutely love and need in their lives. If you'd like to find out more information about the Sharon Art Studio, you can call our program at 415-753-7004. You could check out our website at sharonartstudio.org.
Welcome back to Inside City Limits. We are here today with Rose Dennis, who is the PR director for San Francisco Parks and Recreation Department. And we are actually standing in front of the Pioneer Lodge. And I wanted to ask you a little bit, how are you, first of all, I should say?
Very well, thank you for joining us here today.
Oh, absolutely. Now, can you tell us a little bit about the lodge? When was it built?
It was built in 1911 under the direction of then Mayor McCarthy of San Francisco. And it was the original meeting place for the pioneer women of California. So, in other words, the original meeting place statewide.
Wow, and can you tell me a little bit about those, the Pioneer Women of California?
They were an advocacy and spokespersoning entity that helped to raise awareness about women's issues here in the state of California. They held their last meeting here in 1967. After that, the building, it actually was dilapidated, and it was renovated because it is a historical landmark that people come from all over to see. After the renovations were completed, it then became the Permits and Reservations Division for the San Francisco Recreation and Park Department. And so if you want to have an event at any one of our facilities in any of our jurisdiction, let's say you want to have a 49er themed wedding at Candlestick, which is also called Monster Park, you can come here and we'll hook you up with that.
Yeah, I think people would be surprised by that. I think people probably think they can just get permits for inside the park, but it's interesting to know that they can permits other areas as well. Now, if I wanted to get married, let's say at the Conservatory, which I understand is very popular these days, especially with the renovation, would I come here for a permit?
Any place that we allow weddings to be permitted in Golden Gate Park or in the jurisdiction, you can come here and we'll work with you to accommodate your special needs.
Now, can you tell me a little bit about, just quickly, the trees that are planted here? Who planted those trees?
Yes, the Daughters of American Revolution planted the trees. Many of the trees here on this site behind the Pioneer Log Cabin. Many of those trees are from Lexington, and they are heritage trees of the city and county of San Francisco. The oldest trees, which John McLaren, who was the creator of Golden Gate Park, planted himself.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Rose. It was really a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much. And I guess there is one thing that you don't need to get a permit for here in Golden Gate Park, and that's if you want to have a game of disc golf.
Disc golf is a sport that started out really in the late 60s with people throwing frisbees, and they would play, hit a light post or hit a garbage can, and people would always argue about whether they'd hit the garbage can. And so this guy, Ed Hedrick, who is the guy who invented the frisbee and patented the frisbee, developed the basket that you see out here on the course called the pole hole. And basically it's like regular golf, but instead of hitting a ball into a hole, you were throwing a disc into an elevated basket. The San Francisco Disc Golf Club was formed in 1997. We have about 250 paid members, and what we do is we provided this course to the city of San Francisco. We raised all of the money, we installed it ourselves, we clean up the course, we maintain the trails, we do clinics in the schools where we take baskets of discs to the schools and show kids how to throw frisbees. We organize a tournament once a year in Golden Gate Park where players from all over Northern California come to compete. The way you play disc golf is you take one of these discs and you throw from a tee area, and wherever the disc lands, you throw again from there, and you keep throwing until the disc comes to rest inside the basket. The way you score disc golf is for each throw, you get a stroke, whereas in golf, regular golf, for each hit of the ball, you take a stroke. So it's the same idea. It's scored exactly like regular golf. You have birdies, bogeys, eagles, holes in one. It really borrows, disc golf borrows all of its language and most of its rules from regular golf. The thing I really enjoy about playing disc golf is the challenge of, no matter how good you get, you can always get better. It's nice to be out in the woods. It's a very quiet, sort of contemplative sport. There's not the sort of trash talking that you get in other sports. It's very much like regular golf, where there's an emphasis on respect for the people you're playing with. You're playing against the course rather than against other people, and try to get better, try to improve your game. The great thing about disc golf is that really anybody can play it. We have players out here from really the age of about 7 to 80. People of all sort of physical abilities. We have some people out here with mental disabilities. One of the great things about disc golf is that it's free. Most courses in the country, it's free to play. A disc costs anywhere between $8 and $10. And while those of us who are very serious carry around a whole bag, you can just buy really one disc and go out and have yourself a fun afternoon. And then that's really a main attraction for disc golf versus regular golf, is you don't have greens fees, you don't have to make a reservation, you can just show up at the park and play with your friends. The easiest way to get a hold of our group is to go on the internet, www.sfdiscgolf.org.
Now it's my turn to hang out with Rose, and right behind us is a bison paddock. Tell us how they got here.
We got bison here in the Golden Gate Park in 1894, and the current bison that are here started living here in 1984. They are relocated from Wyoming, the state of Wyoming, and they are descendants from the original 1894 herd.
So who takes care of them?
The city and county of San Francisco are entrusted with taking care of the bison, and anybody, any time of the day, can come by here and visit the bison, say hi. It's a free little point of interest along your trail over to the end of the park on the west end, and we hope that more people come out and check out the bison. They don't mind having lots of visitors.
Who would have thought they were in Golden Gate Park? Well, thank you so much for joining us. And now let's go from bison in the park to lawn bowling.
San Francisco Lawn Bowling Club was started in 1901 by John McLaren, who was superintendent of Golden Gate Park, and Sonny Jim Rolfe, who was then mayor and later governor of the state of California, and several other Scots. It was formed by members of the St. Andrew's Society of San Francisco in 1901, and in fact the first green was laid out late in that year. First game was played right outside the clubhouse here. Apparently the game is thought to have started in Egypt as almost a form of Skittles. And when the Romans left Egypt, around Cleopatra's time, when they took it to Italy, it became bocce ball. It evolved in France as pétanque, in Spain as boules, and in the British Isles as lawn bowling. And each of the games has similar rules, but they evolved differently. And if you were to compare, bocce ball is probably like checkers, and lawn bowling is more like chess. Basically, you have a 3.5-pound bowl. It's not round, it's sort of shaped like a grapefruit. One side is flatter than the other, and it has a central running surface. The object is to roll the bowl as close as possible to a target ball that's about as big as a cue ball, and that's called the jack. That gets rolled down the center of the rink you're playing in, and it's actually centered at the middle of that rink. Then you stand on a mat, and your object is to roll a bowl as closely to the target, the jack, as you can. You can hit the jack, but the object is to get as close as you can, because that's how you get points. You want to be closer than your opponents. And the club offers free lessons every Wednesday, weather permitting, and on Wednesday evenings in the summertime. We start out explaining how the game is played, provide some information, show them a diagram, show them how to hold a bowl, take them through some rudimentary steps, and then go outside to actually try it and get them into a game the first time they're here. Lawn bowling is thought to be a game primarily for seniors, and so we try to promote it with young people as well, because in fact the men's singles world champion is under 30 years old, and he's from England. So you can play all your life, and it's an enjoyable game. The more people get hooked on it, quite frankly.
Well, welcome back, and I'm here again with Rose. It's a pleasure to be with you again.
Thank you.
But we're in a different location, of course. We're in the Queen Wilhelmina Tulip Garden, and I want to ask Rose a couple questions about the flowers that are actually here and when tulips are typically planted. So when are the tulips typically planted?
The tulips are typically planted in the springtime, so visitors can enjoy them into the summer.
Okay.
Or right about the first beginning part of the summer, really. And then currently we have impatiens because they do better this time of year. Tulip is a springtime flower. And behind us is the Queen Wilhelmina Dutch windmill.
That's incredible. It's such an incredible windmill. Now, I'm kind of getting the link here. Of course, windmills are Dutch, and so are tulips, so that's obviously a natural. Can you tell me a little bit about the windmill, its history, and sort of what it was providing for the park when it was first built?
Well, subterranean is an underground aquifer. The water's been pumped up to develop this portion of the park.
Okay.
This is, of course, the last garden before you get to Beach Chalet and then, of course, Ocean Beach. So that was very crucial to the development of this portion of the park. This is actually the most challenging part of the creation that John McLaren envisioned. In fact, Olmsted told John McLaren he couldn't do it.
Oh, wow.
And Olmsted had to eat crow and go back to John and say, you know what, John, you proved me wrong. You can develop the West End right out all the sand dunes. Be converted with these trees, the Monterey cypress around here, the ornamental gardens like the one we're in currently.
Wow, well, it's absolutely beautiful. Thanks so much for being with us again, Rose. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And now we are going to check out Strybing Arboretum.
These are the paths.
Well, the Strybing Arboretum is a living museum of plants here in Golden Gate Park. And as early as 1890, this part of the park, this 55-acre section of the park, was set aside as a museum to learn about plants and their environments and to assemble plants from all over the world. In the 1920s, we received a bequest from a family by the name of Strybing, and that gives the name to the garden. And we've been building ever since to one of the largest, most diverse collections of plants in the United States.
That's hive number 2.
Look at where we head sometimes, too.
Yeah.
Look at those bees.
Yeah, Kevy, they live there. Come here, honey.
Let
me show you
very far away.
Yeah, look.
Well, we have classes and tours and workshops just ongoing all the time, and it's really easy to find out about them on our website, strybing.org. That's S-T-R-Y-B-I-N-G. We also do regular walks at the gates at 10 o'clock every day, and also at 1:30 on the weekends and holidays. So you can always just show up and come for a guided tour of the gardens.
Did you see some bamboo? Do you want to see a really neat path that goes through the bamboo?
We don't have bamboo.
No, we can get you some bamboo sticks. I know there's some.
Oh,
I love lupins. Yeah.
Well, you know, our collections are grouped by geography, so you really go to the world of gardens. And so you go to South Africa and to South America and to New Zealand, and it's really amazing, all these amazing plants that thrive in San Francisco's climate. Perhaps the best collections are those from the cloud forests of the tropics, and that's really unique to this garden. The best thing about Strybing is that we're open every day, we're free, there's just an amazing range of plants to be seen, and it's always a nice experience to walk in here. It's a place of tranquility. Well, who should come? Why should they come? Everybody should come to the Strybing Arboretum, both residents of San Francisco, of the cities that surround the bay, and also visitors from all over the world. And we do. 15 million visitors come to this park a year, and many of them find their way in here. And why should they come? They will see an amazing set of plants. This is also a great collection of gardens by some of the greatest landscape architects ever to practice in San Francisco. So it's just a beautiful set of enclosed and open spaces with just amazing plants in them.
Welcome back to Inside City Limits. We're here at the Golden Gate Park at the AIDS Memorial Grove, and joining us now is Joan, who's with the Urban Forest Division.
Right.
And you have something special to tell us about. You were one of the first women
gardeners back in 1977. Up until that time, the only women they had hired was in World War II. So from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, no women could apply for a civil service gardener exam. We could not take it, the test.
So how did this garden get started?
Well, the garden started back in mid-80s to late 80s, where just a small group of people talked about how they missed their loved ones and that they wanted to have a grove of trees somewhere in Golden Gate Park as a memorial to their lives. And as the talk developed, more and more people got on board. And you had people who were landscape designers who were wanting to get involved. You had people with money. And they decided that they really wanted to have a permanent place in Golden Gate Park dedicated to the lives of these people who passed away from AIDS. So They got a design together and went before the Park Commission of Recreation Park Department, got approval of this location, which at that time was known as De La Viega Dell. And they were able to rename it at that time AIDS Memorial Grove. And they broke ground with volunteers in September of '91. Now, I got on board as the first city gardener for the AIDS Grove in '95.
Can people also volunteer if they wanted to get more involved in the AIDS Memorial Grove?
Yes, they have one of the best organized volunteer work days, which happens every month from March through October, and it's the third Saturday of every month. It's great. You start at 9 o'clock. We break at noon. We have a meeting circle at noon where we hold hands and we call into this circle the names of people that have passed away from AIDS. And then when we break, we hug one another, and then we sit down to lunch that's all free. And you can stay until 3 o'clock. And we provide gloves, all the tools. All you need to do is show up with a big heart and ready to work, and we will put you to work.
Also, do you have any special events that come on here?
Yeah, so the main one is World AIDS Day, which is December 1st of every year. And that's where people from all over the world come to the AIDS Grove, and we talk about AIDS and its effect on the world population and what we can do as individuals to try to control this outbreak, this horrible disease.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you so much for spending your time with us.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
And now let's head back to Scott, who's at the Conservatory of Flowers.
This is the oldest public conservatory in the Western Hemisphere. It opened in 1878 among the effects of James Lick, a man who died in 1876 and left this kit of parts. It was a prefabricated building of wood and glass. It was erected here in Golden Gate Park in 1879. It's been here for more than 125 years. And one of the few examples of a Victorian-era prefabricated building. You know, it's pretty amazing to open the door and come in this precious little building. It's only 12,000 square feet. Right away, you're just kind of enveloped in the humidity and the warmth and the fragrances of all these plants. You go through the lowland tropics of the dome, where it's very warm and jungle-like. Then you go into the highland tropics, which is like the mountains of the tropics, much cooler and very humid in there, into this gallery, the aquatics plant gallery, even more humid and warm. So these very different environments, different fragrances, different visual character. And then the other two, the potted plants and the special exhibits, always a little different with seasonal floral accents and that sort of thing. In building this changing exhibitions gallery, we knew that people were going to come out here and celebrate this big achievement. We've won a dozen major awards for the conservatory. We welcomed 350,000 visitors in the first year. But in order to make sure that people come back, we came up with a gallery where there's always something different. In addition to doing seasonal changes, we've got a special gallery just for changing exhibitions. We've done a couple already, one on pollination that had 600 to 800 butterflies flying freely with a very groovy Austin Powers graphic identity. We've done one celebrating our 125th anniversary. We've got one on medicinal plants. Some of the things ahead on orchids, the modern art of orchids, dinosaur plants, plants that existed at the time of the dinosaurs, carnivorous or insectivorous plants. So a lot of great ideas, things to look forward to. You know, if you're willing to suspend disbelief and imagine yourself Indiana Jones out there on the safari, you go to the jungles, you go to the mountains, you go to the waterfalls in here, and so you really, if you're imaginative, you can transport yourself to the tropics. The conservatory has a fabulous set of educational programs. We do classes and workshops and things, but especially work with teachers in the school districts to hit their marks in the state science curriculum in particular. We're out to combat tropical illiteracy here at the conservatory because we think that for many people in the temperate zone, the products of tropical plants come from either Safeway or the hardware store. People don't know what the real plant looks like. So we've always got something, and we're looking for those things that really have a hook. The Conservatory of Flowers is open Tuesday through Sunday from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Last entry at 4:30. We're closed on Mondays. Our website is www.conservatoryofflowers.org. The telephone number, where there's a hotline, 415-666-7001.
What a great way to end our tour of the Golden Gate Park, right here at the Beach Chalet.
Absolutely, and did you notice this? There's an exhibit here that actually talks about this beautiful building and about the park.
And also upstairs you can catch a bite to eat, watch a sunset, or even grab a drink.
You sure can, and if you want to know more information about the park, visit them at their website.
Or we would love to hear from you too at InsideCityLimits@Comcast.net. Until next week, I'm Kimber Frankel.
And I'm Katy Rice Jones, and keep on enjoying the sights and sounds inside city limits.
What's your favorite thing in Golden Gate Park?
Japanese tea garden.
I think it's the drum circle on the weekends.
I like riding the bike.
The Arboretum, California section of the Arboretum, is by far my favorite place to go. It's got extraordinary plants and, secretly, animals that inhabit that sanctuary.
My favorite thing is probably the Arboretum.
I guess the polo fields, because I used to play soccer there.
What is your favorite thing in Golden Gate Park?
The Japanese tea gardens, definitely, because it's so peaceful. You're all zen when you go in. You can go around, drink your tea. That's why I brought this guy from France to come see it.
Yeah.
You like it?
Yeah, I like it.
Inside City Limits is a presentation of Comcast.